scholars attend Ann Street Elementary School? 344. What is your school mascot? Eagles. How many faculty staff members work at your school? 31 certified, 18 classified, which is a total of 49 faculty and staff members. A quote from the proud principal on why you love being the principal of that school. As much as I enjoy working with the professionals on my staff who are passionate about and committed to students, it is my sacred duty to make certain that the future we touch is touched gently and with great reverence for the possibilities inherent in each student. What good things are going on at the school, socially and educationally? Both teachers and scholars are doing a phenomenal job as it pertains to teaching and learning during this pandemic. For example, we have 6 teachers teaching simultaneously and all students are engaged at high levels. I am extremely proud of the resiliency demonstrated by all parties. What is the school doing to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion among scholars, families, and staff? Most recently, our entire staff participated in the culturally responsive training through Griffin-Spalding. Prior to the course, our staff was required to take an assessment that measured implicit biases prior to the session that deals with race, disability, religion, skin tone. It was interactive and our staff participated at a high level and thoroughly enjoyed the training. Next steps, we will follow up with trainings into the new school year with an emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Additionally, we will conduct a book study on cultivating genius, an equity framework for culturally and historically responsive literacy by Godly Muhammad. We are so excited to present our school spotlight to the principal and the students and faculty members that are here with Ann Street. If you would join my colleagues and I for a picture, and I'll give the mic to Leader Holmes to talk about Ann Street as it is in his district.
Well, there's not too much more I can add, Mr. Brown, from what you have given the description of. It's just one thing that I will personally add, that was a school that I attended as a young boy. Wow. And there's a lot of history at that school in the community. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Royal has met some of those people that have transitioned through that school, but it is just a pillar in our community. So I'm so thankful to have that school in my district, as well as all other schools in all the districts, but that one just has a special place in my heart. So it gives me great pleasure to ask Ann Street to come up for a picture for being the Spotlight School of the Month. Let's give them a All right. Next, we're going to have our prayer and our pledge, and I hate to just throw him under the bus at the last minute, but I know he's always ready. I'm going to ask, you see him laughing, smiling over there, but I'm going to ask my board mate, Mr. Will Doss, to give us a prayer. And after he prays, we're going to have Aaron Acree. He's a 4th grader at Ann Street. Before Aaron does the pledge, he's going to do his school affirmation. So we want to make sure we get the mic prepared for him, or either he can just hold Mr. Simmons as he stand here and do the pledge. Mr. Doss.
Let us pray. Lord God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the beautiful weather that we've been having. We thank you for Griffin-Spalding County School System. Lord, we pray for tonight as we continue to do the business of the school, that you'll give us wisdom and direction in all the decisions that are made. I thank you, Father, Lord, for the leadership that is here. We ask you to continue, Father, Lord, to lead and direct them. Lord, we're so grateful and thankful for our teachers. Bless them and prosper them as they're down this downhill stretch to the end of the year. And Lord, I'm thankful for our parents and our students. I ask, Father, Lord, that you'd give them the endurance for the remainder of this year. And we give you all that praise and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Come on up, Mr. Aaron. If you would, he's going to come right here. Just come right here, Mr. Aaron.
Hi everybody, my name is Aaron Akery. I am in 4th grade, and today I'll be saying the Pledge of Allegiance. But first, I am going to be reciting my own Ann Street preview. I am an Ann Street Eagle. I am smart. I believe in myself and my ability. I am excellent in all things. Excellent begins with me. I am an Ann Street Eagle. Okay, now, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to my flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, one thing about having our students, our scholars to come and speak, it lets people know what type of bright minds we have in our system, and some of that stuff that they may hear is not true. And so that's a example of the type of students we have in our system. So let's give Aaron one more hand. Griffin-Spalding County system announcements, Mr. Cynthia Brown.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leader, for the opportunity to present our student scholar. Ms. J.C. Barnes is a junior at Spalding High School, and she is the National 4-H President for the state of Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I turn it over to Madam President J.C. Barnes for our GSCS district announcements. Madam President.
Chairman, member of the board, and Superintendent Simmons, my name is Barnes, and I am a junior at Spalding High School. We would like to thank the Board of Education for involving scholars of the district in the policy and legislative process. The announcements for the April 13, 2021 Board of Education meeting are as follows. This week is Assistant Principal Week, and we would like to shout out all of our assistant principals in GSCS for their hard work in our district. Superintendent Simmons has officially reached 1 month here in GSCS and has published a 100-day entry plan. All stakeholders are encouraged to view the plan and see where they fit in to ensure a collaborative approach to achieving our goals. The plan is accessible from the GSCS district website under the Meet the Superintendent tab. Mr. Holmes, Mr. Doss, and Mr. Brown would like to thank all Real Men Read volunteers for participating in today's program. Mr. Brown would like to shout out Dr. Roy Reel's 5th grade science class from Atkinson Elementary for their STEAM fair that took place on March 26th. The scholars completed STEAM projects and will receive feedback from various stakeholders. Dr. Reel in Atkinson Elementary. Kindergarten registration begins April 19th through May 8th, 2021. Wednesday, April 21st, 2021 is Administrative Professionals Day. On Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, the Board of Education work session will be held at 216 South 6th Street, Griffin, Georgia, 30224 at 4 p.m. On Tuesday, May 4th, 2021, the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education meeting will be held at 6 p.m. Governance team, cabinet members, and stakeholders. This concludes the Board of Education announcements for Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. And I want to reiterate, Vice Principal Week was actually the week of spring break. We're going to celebrate them this week. And actually, Ms. Barnes is the daughter of one of the assistant principals at Carver Road Middle School, Mr. Corinza Barnes. So we want to make sure we celebrate and recognize our vice principal this week. Next, we want to adopt the agenda as presented with any corrections or additions. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second by Ms. McDonald. All in favor, raise your right hand or raise your card. 5-0. Thank you. Next, we're going to have our recognitions that will be done by none other than the Honorable Barbara Jo Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We always know when we have a full house that there are some great recognitions on the agenda, and that is true tonight. First, the 2021 regional winners for the Young Georgia Authors Writing Competition, Miss Melanie Lockett.
Good evening, Chairman Holmes, board members, Superintendent Simmons, GSCS students, faculty, and staff. I'm delighted to present to you our Young Georgia Author winners. The Young Georgia Authors Writing Contest is sponsored by the Georgia Language Arts Supervisors and the Georgia RESA Network. It's also supported by the Georgia Department of Education. It is open to students in grades K12 and includes all types of writing, such as short stories, poetry, essays, research reports, and other forms. The purpose of the Young Georgia Authors Poetry Essay Contest is to encourage students to develop enthusiasm for and expertise in writing, to provide a context to celebrate writing, and to recognize student achievement in the arts. We would like to congratulate the following regional winners. Winners, when I call your name, please come up to the front. Bella Lou from Crescent Elementary School. And her writing was entitled Lily the Brown Unicorn. Ophelia Maddie, 4th grade, Crescent Elementary. Her writing was entitled The Blade of the Queen. And Riley Newman, 10th grade, Spalding High School. Her writing was entitled Worth It. We are very proud of these winners. They will go on to represent our region in the state competition. So wish these ladies luck. Ladies, we are so proud of you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, ladies.
Ms. Chambers,
All right.
congratulations.
All righty.
Next, the Griffin-Spalding County Schools Communication Department wins 3 Georgia School Public Relations Association State Awards. Mr. Keith Simmons.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mrs. Cook, board members. The Griffin-Spalding County School System Communications Department received 1 Gold Award of Excellence, 1 Silver Award of Excellence, and 1 Bronze Award of Excellence. At this time, if I could have members of the Communications Department to come forward. There they are. I present to you Mrs. Laura Bieber and Mr. Adam Pugh of our Communications Department. A Silver Award of Excellence was received for the district's weekly employee newsletter called the GSCS Communicator. The 2020 Destination Graduation Marketing Campaign earned a Bronze Award of Excellence. The GSPRA annual Publications, Photography, and Electronic Media Contest acknowledges school public relations professionals that have demonstrated exceptional communication skills by producing outstanding publications, photography, and electronic media. Publications are judged on design, skill, and meeting the overall PR goals and objectives. Please join me in congratulating these two fine individuals for their hard work in communicating all that takes place in Griffin-Spalding.
Great job,
Oh,
great job.
hey, hold on. You can't leave. Don't leave yet, Mr. Pugh. I gotta, you know.
Get a picture with him.
That's great. Great work. Good job, Adam. Good job, Laura.
And next,
We're-
the Griffin-Spalding County School System, second semester, district level, most valuable parent, Ms. Applemore.
Good evening. The Most Valuable Parent Program was started 9 years ago as a way to recognize volunteers within the Griffin-Spalding County School System. I'm delighted to stand before you this evening to recognize the outstanding school-level volunteers for second semester. The nominations were Ann Street Elementary, Stephanie Green, Cowan Road Elementary, Ebony Complin, Crescent Elementary, Ginger Hamilton, Futrell Road Elementary, Crystal McLean, Jackson Road Elementary, Mia Beasley, Jordan Hill Elementary, Christy Danielle, Moore Elementary, Prentessa Joyner, Kennedy Road Middle, Jasmine Webb, Griffin High School, Constance Sweet, Spalding High School, Holly Brown. The Griffin-Spalding County School System is proud to recognize Ms. Crystal McLean from Futrell Road Elementary as the second semester district-level MVP. Ms. McLean could not be here, so Mr. Steele, the principal, will accept her certificate in her absence. Mr. Steele, will you please come forward? Futrell Road Elementary Road. Futrell Road is very honored to recognize Ms. Crystal McLean. She is the grandmother of Allie Kaysen in second grade. Ms. McLean has helped us many times over the past several years in the classroom and the media center. Recently, she has worked very hard to supply many of our children with homemade facial masks. She sews them by hand, and sometimes she even monograms their names on them. She completed a full class set for Miss Lanier after the students returned to the building on March 1st. Ms. McLean has also provided many teachers with masks this school year. She surprises us with holidays with cute, festive masks, and she has even made home deliveries to drop them off. Cinnamon, you hear that? We appreciate her love and support of the students and faculty at Futrell Road. On behalf of the Griffin-Spalding County School System and our MVP sponsor for this evening, Maxie Lube Tire and Auto, thank you for giving of your time and talents to the students, staff, and families of Futrell Road Elementary.
Congratulations to our students. Students, as a former English teacher, I say to you, keep on writing. That's an outstanding skill that will serve you well in whatever career you enter. To our staff, congratulations to you. What an incredible honor to win 3 outstanding awards. And to our parents who volunteer, please know that we could not do what we do without you, and you are invaluable to the success of this school system. So congratulations to all of you on your accomplishments. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
All righty. Thank you so very much, Ms. Cook. And I'll add to what she said about keep writing, but also keep reading. That is going to, you know, I didn't get that when I was younger, when my math teacher was telling me to read. I'm like, what I got to read to do math for? But that is very important. Keep reading and keep writing. With that said, we're going to take just a small break, maybe about 3 minutes. But we invite you to stay, but if you have to leave, we want to thank you for being here with us and the time that you spent with us. We want to congratulate all these students and the fine job that they are doing. We're just as proud of you as your parents and guardians are, because you not only reflect them, you reflect us in the school system. So thank you, and I bid you a good night if you have to leave. We'll be breaking for about 3 minutes.
She gets her height from her dad in green shirt.
Yeah, no doubt.
And her mom's tall too, if that's her mom.
Yeah, it does look.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
We are good. Thank you so much. What are you bringing us? Thank you.
How are you? How are you?
Wow.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. You heard any more about moving to the Hall of Fame?
She does a country girl. Williams from Dog Times.
That's exciting.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
Me too.
Still.
Yeah, okay.
Me too.
Oh, my goodness.
Got some stuff here.
We're gonna make this
Sharp building.
meeting area.
Kind of a hard time.
I want that.
It is, just for that.
The Hall of Fame's in there, but came back to life.
Hello, how are you?
Whatever it takes to make that happen.
All right, Miss Sue, let's see something you in here.
We had some stuff that was welcome.
I think we're going into exception. About GAE or GAE.
They got coffee. My wife is going to I don't drink coffee, so anytime I get stuff like this, she just go crazy.
Oh, House Glenn, I see that now. That's great.
We may have gotten stuff back from them or something. I don't know what. Dan and it was mainly Dan. Maybe Sonny. Those guys were real good.
Oh, there's no doubt. Well, and it just is funny.
Yeah, I had talked to Miss.
Well, I really
I
hope
told her, I said, look, it's
the county don't just come in and say, we really want to ask you to just tell them it's first.
talk to him and get
Same thing happened.
decide why. Because sometimes we may not see it, but when we talk to them, right, and that's what I was.
See, they've got this white elephant out there in the baseball.
And I'm not through it.
They don't know what to do with it. They've spent all this money on it. They have nothing to put in it. Nobody wants to roll over it.
And I understand wanting to have anyway. Well, yeah, I mean, he wasn't even in there. They ended up opening it up. I still feel bad.
But we can't really say that.
What that whole, what we can do. I like it to a degree, and I don't like it.
We go there for a meeting.
Yeah, there was a
It's
club.
not done on Sunday time. You have to come out there with your truck on board.
Like I told him, I mean, till somebody do something, lose my trust. I trust. You know. Okay. We'll go ahead and get back started. Ms. Ray, do we have anyone for public comment? Okay, thank you. No news is good news, right? Next, we have our consent agenda, and we want to adopt it, or accept it as it is. Can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented to us?
So moved.
Got a motion, can we get a second?
Second.
Got a second by Mr. Dawes and a motion by Ms. Cook. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, 5-0. And action items, Mr. Simmons was apologizing. I told him this still light compared to some of the things we've had to do. So it's not that big of a task. But under the action items, we want to do we want to do these individually? Okay. All right. We have the Black Lives Matter resolution. I think that was presented by Mr. Brown.
Correct.
You have any dialogue on that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, governance team, cabinet, and stakeholders, it is, as we sit here and we look at the different events that are going on today, it is a true statement that Black Lives Matter. Some may not be able to relate to it, but it's real. When this resolution was first drafted, we were on the heels of the murder of George Floyd, and the country was reacting in response to the senseless act of violence captured on video and seen around the world. Many more events have happened since that moment in time, but here we are again in the midst of the trial for the officer that killed George Floyd, and yet another black man, Dante Wright, has been killed at the hands of those who are entrusted to protect and serve. I am sure that there are some people who would rather not have the statement to make that Black Lives Matter, or write or even pass a resolution like the one we are passing today. But the fact of the matter is, we must continue to say Black Lives Matter until they do on every level of our American society. Black people are not expendable and deserve the same humanity and care that is given to other races and people in this country. We must continue to say that Black Lives Matter until black people are given the same grace and consideration as other people who benefit from the convenience of privilege. Today, we must acknowledge that this resolution is revolutionary and certainly a step in the right direction. However, we must now commit to putting the action behind the words, Black Lives Matter. What does this mean for our school district? How will we uphold and carry out this resolution in our daily work? How will our district change to make sure that it is equitable and embodies the statement in the resolution that says Griffin-Spalding County Schools support Black Lives Matter movement because all lives matter. Not only in our school district, but all lives matter in the world, and we must be able to combat systemic racism, and social injustice must be eradicated. I would like to thank my fellow board members and superintendent senators for supporting Black Lives and passing this resolution today, and I look forward to continuing to move the needle in the right direction towards progress. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. It is an action item. Can we get a motion to accept it as presented?
So moved.
And get a second. Got a second. Motion and a second. All in favor? I do want to make note now. I tried to give you all an out when I asked the question. Do you want to take these individually? So I just want to make that known that I tried to give you an out.
Well, and if I can make just a quick comment too, I know that the Griffin Ministerial Alliance is convening a meeting that's separate from the Ministerial Alliance to talk about how we can continue to promote unity. The same group that got together and did the prayer walk on July 5th last year we don't want to lose the momentum that has been created within our community, and so that is going to continue.
Thank you for that, Mr. Dawes, because, you know, this pandemic has kind of slowed and delayed some things. And, you know, you have to work a little harder to keep that momentum. So thank you for those comments. Next, we have Dr. Tiffany Taylor on the great teachers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am here this afternoon on the behalf of HR to just share with you an opportunity that we would like to continue for the 21-22 school year. The GREAT program is an acronym for Georgia Residency for Educating Amazing Teachers. It is a grant that is funded through SREB, which is the Southern Regional Education Board, in conjunction with Georgia College and State University. This is a grant-funded opportunity in which Georgia College vets interested master's level teachers. Those teachers or candidates are vetted. They must have a 2.75 grade point average. They must interview there at Georgia College for this opportunity to participate in the residency. Once they are vetted there, the middle school principals also interview the candidates and determine the best placement for the residents. The residents are paired with a master teacher, and they receive from the grant a $39,000 living stipend to serve in the classroom with that master teacher. They do not have full teaching responsibilities, but they undergo a full year of just learning, shadowing from that master teacher. The portion that Griffin-Spalding County Schools has to contribute is the benefits. And so benefits for each teacher is a total of $21,760 per teacher. That is broken down to health insurance, Medicare, Social Security, and the residents also get 1 year into the teacher retirement system. In lieu of this living stipend that the candidates receive, they sign a binding contract that after their first year of residency, they would return back into our Griffin-Spalding County school system for 3 additional years. So in essence, if we think about that, we have these residents for 4 years in our school system. This year, we had 3 Georgia College candidates. We had one at Rehoboth Road Middle School, we had one at Kennedy Road, and one at Carver Road. And so of those 3, we had 2 successful residents who will return that we look to have in our school district for 3 more years. Georgia College has reached out to us. They are wanting us to take up to 4 residents next year. So we are prepared to interview them and place them in middle schools. This program is specifically for STEM, and STEM is for science, technology, engineering, and math. And we know that those are some hard-to-fill areas, so we are very excited to be able to host up to 4 more great teachers next year. And so the superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approves funding to cover the cost of benefits for 4 STEM teachers at the middle school level for next year. That concludes my briefing of the GREAT program, and we hope that we will be able to have up to 4 residents next year.
All right, thank you, Dr. Taylor. Next, we have the K12 Insight Let's Talk platform by Mr. Keith Simmons.
Do we have to vote on that?
Do we need to make
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, we need to vote on the great teachers. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Got a motion? Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? 5-0.
If
Thank
I
you.
can just say, today when I had the opportunity reading at Rehoboth, I got to meet that teacher that is
Oh,
going to
you
be
did?
moving on to teach to her own, I think a 3rd grade class, if I'm not mistaken, but I was excited to meet them and see the experience that is taking place.
Okay. Great.
And my question is, I know that this is for those that are doing for middle school, but I know that there are schools in our district that are pushing their teachers to have a STEAM certification, so the entire staff. What supports are available in our district for those schools?
So the curriculum department doesn't, push or promote the endorsement side. But Heather Tolliver, who you met before the session here, she will always gladly work with schools who have an interest in STEM or STEAM. We've had meetings previously with schools who've expressed that interest, and then we have a committee who helps support that school with walkthroughs and visits. And then Heather has also brought the DOE in to help support those schools who have that interest as well.
Okay.
They just have to let us know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Crawford.
All right. K12 Insight, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Chairman Holmes, members of the board. The Let's Talk platform is a premier technology solution that's implemented by more than 300 school districts nationwide. Let's Talk is a software platform that serves as a single, centralized, secure, cloud-based repository for all incoming questions, comments, concerns, and compliments. It includes a mobile app and allows for customization of the platform to automatically assign dialogues via email or telephone from multiple channels and alert administrators. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the purchase of K12 Insight's Let's Talk customer service and stakeholder support platform for an amount not to exceed $30,870. These funds will come from the general fund account. Are there any questions?
I always just look over at the finance. Okay, that's all I need to know, Mr. Simmons. No question.
I don't have so much a question, more of a comment. I know that in the last few years, we have begun to make a push for customer service, and that has been part of the hiring process and what you have talked about of what we're wanting to do. And it's much like, I have been a part of some things in the past, such as Pinwheels for Prevention, which highlighting child abuse. So a lot of times when you begin focusing on something, you begin also seeing more of those issues, whether they are actually there or not there. And so I have received more phone calls recently about sometimes things being dropped or, but as we focus on customer service, I was talking with my colleague today even about this particular funds and things being expended. As long as we are still moving forward and we're progressing with being a customer service first orientation, I don't have a problem spending those funds. It's when we begin spending funds and we regress from that. So I'm excited for it. I think that it looks like it could be something that could be very positive for our organization. But I want to see us continue to move forward in that area.
Absolutely. And I will provide the board with an update, let's say 60 days after implementation. You will begin to see implementation sometime over the next 45 days. But this is really about being able to keep up with the data and the analytics that helps us to understand how we're doing with communicating inwardly and outwardly. So I'm excited about the opportunity to implement this platform.
Awesome. And Mr. Chair, I just want to add to that, after I was speaking with Superintendent Simmons today, I think that this is a great program. And as we start to have district town hall meetings to understand what the issues are in our district, this system will help us to kind of outline what those issues are as we continue to seek solutions and options for our district. And so definitely have my support and just looking forward to seeing us get better with our customer service and closing the loopholes on things that don't need to linger. Thank you.
All right.
With that being said, I'd make a motion.
Okay, you'd like to make a motion by Mr. Dawson. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. McDonough. All in favor? Raise your right hand. All right, 5-0. Okay, next, National SAM Innovation Projects, Mr. Keith Simmons.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Chairman Holmes. Instructional leaders make high-quality teaching and learning the school's top priority and set processes in place that make this vision a reality. The National SAM Project is a large-scale pilot program created to help better understand how principals use their time and develop strategies to help principals increase time spent on improving learning and instruction. Principals and the school community mutually agreed to participate in the SAM project on a volunteer basis. I actually have one of the principals who could verify that this was a volunteer effort. But what I wanted you to understand is that the SAM project helped principals to use data about how they spend their time, reflecting on those practices to shape their role that conforms to an instructional leader. Basically, improving instruction and improving learning outcomes. Having said that, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 10 National SAM Innovation Project, or SAM, licenses for an amount not to exceed $45,000. These funds will also come from the district's general fund account. I do have Dr. Seabrook Royal, who is wrapping up his training, and he can tell you a little bit about what it looks like from the end user side. I'll also be able to show you, up here is just one of the many graphics that indicate a group of focused principals that I have. These principals are also piloting the program. I'm able to see how much time I'm spending with these principals, individual or in a group setting. I'm also able to see how much time I spend with you as board members, whether it be on governance structures, our work on equity, if I wanted to, or if I Mr. Harper's navigating that right now, but I could actually show you the amount of time that I've spent on community and community relations over the last 25 days. I've shared with you previously, and I've shared with the staff. I am a superintendent who's focused on instructional leadership. I want to make sure that I can remove barriers for principals, but I also want to model that. And so having access to this platform enables me to keep up with what I do, but it also enables me to reflect on who I'm doing it with, how I'm doing it. It involves an administrative manager. You hear me talk about a SAM meeting with Ms. Ray on a daily basis. These principals will also go through that process. I think Dr. Royal would tell you that's a rigorous process because it requires a degree of fidelity. But if you'd like to hear his thoughts on that, I'd be more than happy to let him tell you.
Before he gets to the mic, it sounds like Santa Claus making a list and checking it twice.
Sometimes I check it 3 times.
Good evening, Superintendent Simmons and esteemed board members. I am an active participant in the SAMS program, and I'll be honest with you, I've been a principal for a number of years, and I tend to think I do a pretty good job, but one of my biggest takeaways from having been in this training is the ability to be able to analyze the amount of time that I spend in specific areas, the amount of time that I spend observing teachers and giving feedback. And I will just tell you, it has really been an eye-opener for me in that it gives me graphs in terms of the amount of time that I spend in just various categories. And I think for me, what it really has done, it has really aligned what I do as opposed to what I think I'm doing. And in some areas, I discovered that I wasn't doing as great of a job as I could have been doing. I will just share with you one of the most recent takeaways from actually a training this morning. And typically when I go in to observe a teacher, I think I do a pretty good job communicating with teachers and making sure that I give them positive feedback. And I had just really kind of gotten accustomed to going in and giving, just typing up the observation. And basically when I leave out, I always try to make a comment like, hey, I really enjoyed your class today. I enjoyed what your students were doing. I saw that you were doing flexible groups, et cetera, and I'm out of the door. But one of the things that has been recommended is to make sure you follow up and build in time to actually have real conversations with teachers. Typically what I would do, I probably would get back to my office and then I might just shoot them an email. And basically, the trainer said, if you really want to become a more effective principal, there's nothing more important than actually having those follow-up conversations face-to-face. So that's been one of my biggest takeaways, and that is certainly something that I'm going to implement into my day-to-day practices. And if I can say anything, it's worth every dollar. At first, I thought, wow, is this a punishment? This is really intensive, just as the superintendent mentioned. And basically, I have always been an administrator who prided himself on being an open door administrator. If you got a problem, you can get to me. In all of my years, I've always kept my door cracked because I always wanted to be in the know of what's going on in my school. And oftentimes when you close the door, things happen and you don't know about them. But what I have come to realize, the most important thing that can happen in a school, obviously, is student achievement. And in order for student achievement to happen, you really got to be focused on the work and really analyzing what it is that you're doing. I know that I'm doing a lot of things throughout the day, but to actually see it in bar graphs and the way that my time is spent, that I know is going to obviously give us some dividends that we probably didn't expect. So I appreciate the opportunity, and if I can say anything, I would say, let's do it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I just
And, I was just looking at Mr. Simmons' bar graph, and I'm a real student of Dave Ramsey, for those of you that know, financial guru. And one thing I've learned, and I try to tell people, until you see it, you think you know, but when you see it, then you really know what you're doing and how you should be doing or what you need to improve on. So I see this as worthwhile and worth the investment. So with that being said, could I get a motion?
I just have a quick question, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead. Right
Thank
here.
you. Thank you, Dr. Royal. I appreciate that. And, you know, I think all employees appreciate the face-to-face more than a written, you know, and I appreciate you doing that. I think that's would be very effective and will reap many benefits for everyone. I just have a quick question, Mr. Simmons, with regard to how will the 10 principals be selected, or is it a volunteer basis? Is it call me before 8 tomorrow, or, you know?
Yes, ma'am. So it was volunteer. I sent out an email to all of the principals, sharing with them the opportunity to participate on a voluntary basis. I shared with them a few links where they could go and look at what this project entailed so that they would have some background and some context. I shared with them that I actually implement it. I've implemented it for the last 4 years, I believe, and wanted to know if any of them were interested. I'll be honest with you, I was pleased with the 10 who volunteered because it was a diverse group. We had some seasoned principals, such as Dr. Seabrook. We had some relatively induction phase principals. We had principals representing some of our high-need schools, some of our principals who had kind of gotten into some schools who were doing, you know, better in terms of student achievement. All of them have given the same level of feedback. It has changed their practice, and in many ways, it's caused them to think about what they do in relation to what they think they do.
Right.
And that was the essence.
That's great. Thank you.
Right. Can we get a motion to?
So moved.
So moved. Second. Ms. McDonald, all in favor? 5-0. All right. Federal grant budgets. Mrs. Ashley McLemore, I'm sorry.
Good evening again. All of the federal grant budgets must be legally adopted by the Griffin-Spalding County School System Board of Education after the Georgia Department of Education approves the final submitted budget applications. These budgets are updated throughout the year based on school and district needs, reductions, additions, and normal carryover. The budgets listed in your packet have been submitted and approved by the program manager at the State Department. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education adopt the listed budgets.
Any questions?
My only question or comment is, you have trained someone that is going to be able to replace and do what you have done for all these years at such a great high level, haven't you?
Thank you, and I have assured Ms. Jones that I will help with the transition. It's very hard to leave my GSCS family here.
Okay.
I know.
We're not acknowledging.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, that's too premature. We haven't approved all that yet.
I just wanted it to be out there. It was a prerequisite.
For those of you who don't know, Ms. McLemore's husband has been up at Kennesaw State And I was expecting that earlier, but, you know, naturally she's going to join them up there, and she'll be transitioning to Forsyth County. So we'll have a celebration later. With that being said, can we get a motion to accept the federal grant budget?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion, a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? All right, thank you. Sale of federal equipment, Ms. McLemore.
Samsung Chromebooks are removed from the Griffin-Spalding County School System's equipment inventories due to network security issues once they reach their end of life. Generally, these are sent to be recycled as e-waste. Periodically, however, vendors buy outdated devices for parts salvage. Instructional Technology secured a vendor to purchase some of these Chromebooks. Funds from this sale will be deposited back into the originating school accounts. The superintendent recommends that Cornerstone Technologies purchase 1,525 outdated Title I devices in the amount of $20,000.
Okay, so moved.
So what?
So moved. Oh, he jumping the gun. All right, got a motion by Mr. Brown.
What'd he do?
He
Amen.
said so moved.
Second.
Second by Ms. McDonald. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
5-0. Thank you, Ashley. Next, Griffin Success Academy Charter Petition, Sarah Jones.
I was hoping to see an amended agenda where one of the items on the agenda, a name could have been removed. I did laugh a lot with Ashley McLemore to tell her if I could find a little closet, a little room, somewhere that I could just lock her in, I think I might try to do it. But just to say what she's meant to our district, the allegiance to Griffin-Spalding, the community. I know this is impromptu and she is not going to like it, but to say she will be missed professionally and personally is an understatement. So we love her and wish her the best, and I'm still not past finding a room somewhere, Mr. Simmons. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later.
You can have this one.
Hard to replace. Good evening. I'm here this evening to bring the superintendent's recommendation regarding the Griffin Success Academy charter school petition application. And if you recall, in two prior board meetings, one was a board meeting, one was a board work session, shared information regarding the charter application. You received a notebook that had the application, some additional Georgia DOE supporting information pieces, as well as staff feedback that went through the application itself. In addition, in those presentations, I shared with you that there are 4 report-out groups from an application that the board takes the information and can make that decision. One is the rejection group. One is a revision group. One is a clarification group, and one is an approval group. So also, you have 2 documents that are in your packet of information. One is a decision memo regarding the charter application. The other is a letter that is to the charter petitioner that will be shared with the petitioner pending the vote here on the superintendent's recommendation. So on the decision memo, the recommendation is the superintendent recommends that the Board of Education deny the Griffin Success Academy charter petition. In the letter to the petitioner, it goes through all of the reasons why, and also gives examples of what they could do to possibly resubmit and have a better application to come before the board in a different cycle.
Okay. Any questions, board member? You have a copy of the letter from Mr. Simmons to Mr. McNair, and I thank you, Mr. Simmons, for being so detailed identifying the insufficiencies. It's not like we don't want to give them a fair chance, but, you know, things must be done decent and in order, and that's what we are just requesting, that they follow those procedures, so.
Mr. Chair, just have a quick question. Ms. Jones, they have to wait at least a minimum of a year, is that correct, as I recall?
It is.
Okay.
In the cycle, they have to wait a year to apply for the impending year
Gotcha.
in their application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. With that said, can I get a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation to deny the charter petition?
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cook. All in favor?
Due to my employment, I just need to abstain from this vote.
Abstain? Okay, all right. All right, we have 4, 1 abstention. Chromebook purchase by Mr. Lonnie Harper.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Bringing forth a proposal for our annual Chromebook Refresh. This purpose of this refresh is couple-fold real quickly. We'll be replacing our N21s, just like Ashley spoke of the Samsung old title devices that have moved on. This purchase will be replacing our N21 devices that have reached the end of their life this coming September. So we'll be getting rid of those. That will also, remember, we rushed up our one-to-one fulfillment per grade levels because of the quarantine situations with students. We started purchasing ahead of our schedule. So this will go ahead and shore up the shortages we've had with kindergarten and pre-K, and it will completely fill up with the middle schools. And then it also has an allotment of Chromebook purchases in there for all of the teachers in the district. To clarify that, it's all educators listed inside of Infinite Campus who are teaching a course, so that'll include parapros if they're listed with an individual course, special ed teachers with their courses, so that we can be better prepared moving forward if there is another shutdown. So the recommendation is for the school board to approve the purchase of 3,800 Chromebooks for $1,440,200 from CDWG. Any
All right.
questions?
Board members, you've heard the information, and you have the breakdown in your packet. And can we get a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve funding for the purchase of 5,000 Chromebook?
Could I ask just a quick question, please?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
I'm sorry for not.
That's okay. Lonnie, I was just curious about the supply chain. Has that gotten better as we've moved through the pandemic? Because I know earlier shutdowns and we ordered equipment and we're still, can you give us an update on that, please?
So Lenovo, was impacted early on. That's who we've partnered with in the past. They've had some embargo issues with their manufacturers. They're still slowly getting devices in. We got part of a shipment a couple months ago, and we actually converted the rest of that order over to HP devices instead of Lenovo devices just because of supplies. These are actually Dell 3100s. The vendor that we partnered with said when I spoke to them right before spring break, they had about 72,000 devices in their warehouse. And I said, well, go ahead, put my name on 3,800. We're taking this to the school board, right after spring break. So he said they would give it their inventory manager, and they have them in stock and would set them aside for us.
Okay, thank you. That's good news. Thanks.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Ms. McDonald. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dawes. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you.
Let me go ahead and jump on the next
Go
one.
ahead on the case.
All right, so with providing protection to these devices for students as they're moving back and forth, the second recommendation we have is that the school board approve the purchase of 5,000 Belkin always-on Chromebook cases from Virtucom for $67,500. This purchase will provide all of these devices with a case, and it'll also go back, give us a few extras that have been damaged or lost this school year, and will give us enough to cover those that we bought in the middle of the beginning of this school year that we weren't able to get cases for, so we're shoring up that part also.
So
Any
these,
questions?
these the hard cases or?
Yeah, so these actually strap on to the
Strap on.
Chromebook. So when the kid puts their Chromebook case on their desk, they'll open the lid of the case, and the lid of the device opens also, so it always stays on. We're hoping, from talking to some other school districts and vendors about protection, that having that always wrapped in that cloth case will help minimize some of the damage we're seeing from drop devices or devices that are opened inappropriately and kids are damaging the screens. So this should hopefully help alleviate some of that.
That's good. All right. Any
So
other
moved.
questions? All right, can we get a motion to accept?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion?
Second.
And second by Ms. Cook. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lundy. Policy FD, Facility Long Range Planning, Mr. Anthony Bubba Akins.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. As you know, back in 2016, we had the curriculum audit by Phi Delta Kappa. One of the recommendations that came out under governance was recommendation 3, which was to initiate efforts to incorporate planning for all functions under the umbrella of the comprehensive planning process to ensure linkage of organizational efforts and to support shared purpose. And a sub-recommendation under that was for facility planning. And the sub-recommendation was to review and revise the current facilities plan to address the components of comprehensive long-range facilities plan with other district planning documents. This was under G310 and 3G11. And basically it said local facilities plan is to include considerations of organizational patterns, educational program needs, prioritized renovation needs, cost analysis, and health and safety needs. With that being said, the superintendent recommends that the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education place the attached policy, facilities long-range planning, on first read.
All right, any question or discussion? All right, can we get a motion to accept the recommendation from the superintendent?
Motion.
Got a motion, can we get a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? 5-0. Go right ahead, Ms. Akins.
Thank you, sir. Moving right along, Ms. McDonald, you'll be pleased with this one. Spalding High exterior block cleaning and coating. We have talked about this for several times with the staining on the building.
Right.
Mr. Ballard, our team, led by Mr. Ballard, looked for some ways to correct this. There's a problem with the porous materials that's there. So out of all of our research, we found a product, Sherwin-Williams Lonox self-cleaning coating that will be placed on the building. It's a painted-on coating that will allow us to better clean that facility. So it is the recommendation of the superintendent that the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education approve the exterior block cleaning and coating of the Spalding High School building at a cost not to exceed $154,354.
All right, any questions or discussion? We'll let
Motion.
Ms. No.
I'm just kidding.
Now, we're gonna let you make the motion.
I hope Lindy's listening. I make a motion that we follow Mr. Simmons' recommendation to clean up Spalding High School.
All right, we got a motion, can we get a second? I'll
Second.
Mr. Dawes, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Yay.
5-0, all right, Ms. Pruitt would be happy to hear that. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Aiken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one more. Earlier in January, I think it was the 20th, there was an automobile accident where another vehicle ran a red light and struck one of our maintenance trucks. We've been working with insurance and everything since then. They have finally settled with us on that 2005 GMC Canyon truck for $8,773. That's our assistant construction manager's truck, and it is time that we replace that now that we've had that settlement. As you see in the attachment, the state bid for a new Ford F-150 truck would be $29,910. We would like to add money that is normally budgeted in the maintenance account for replacement of equipment, repair of equipment, place the amount added to the 8773 to purchase this truck. So it is a recommendation of the Superintendent, the Board of Education approve the purchase of the needed replacement truck for a price not to exceed $29,910.
All right. You've heard the recommendation and the reasoning. Can we get a motion?
Motion.
Motion, get a second.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Before I vote, I just need to know one thing, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
This was a legal matter? Was this a legal matter at some point?
For the accident?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody?
No, I never got involved.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right. With that being said, call for the vote. All in 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Akins. Okay, we have some presentation and discussion items. First up, we have the GSCS English Language Arts update by Ms. Melanie Lockett and Ms. Miller. Hey.
Good evening again, board members.
Good evening.
We are delighted to stand before you tonight to offer you the GSCS English Language Arts update. Each year, students in the Griffin-Spalding County School System compete in Literacy Days. Literacy Days are a recitation, writing, and drama competition. One winner from each grade band is chosen to represent our county at the district level. The following students won first place at the county competition and went on to place at regionals. Fourth grade poetry recitation winner, Carolyn Hamilton from Crescent Elementary School. Third grade ready writing, Lila Jane English, second place, Crescent Elementary School. Fourth grade ready writing, third place winner, DeMarcus Wright, Calvin Road Elementary School. And fifth grade ready writing, third place winner, Olivia Carter, Future Road Elementary School. We would like to extend our congratulations to those students. At the middle school level, our seventh grade ready writing participant won third place, Kirsten Miller at Rehoboth Road Middle School. Sixth grade poetry recitation, Cheyenne Rice from Kennedy Road Middle School. Our eighth grade poetry recitation winner won third place, Kenzie Kearney at Carver Road Middle School. And our 6-8 drama competition placed second, Trinity Holtz and Kirsten Steger from Carver Road Middle School. Again, we're excited for those students. The Young Georgia Author Competition, as mentioned earlier today, supports students and recognizes their writing abilities. It develops enthusiasm for writing, expertise in writing, and provides an opportunity to celebrate writing. We had multiple winners placed in the regional competition. Bella Lou, second grade, Crescent Elementary, who we saw earlier tonight. Ophelia Maddie, fourth grade, regional winner, Crescent Elementary. And Riley Newman, 10th grade, regional winner. In addition to those regional winners, we had Lisbeth Morales Perez from third grade at Atkinson, placed at the regional level. Carissa Burnett, fifth grade, Atkinson Elementary, placed at the regional level. Florence Pham, 9th grade from Spalding High, and Kendall West, 11th grade from Spalding High, all placed at the regional level. Very proud of these students. During the 2019 school year, we partnered with the Institute of Multisensory Education to train approximately 50 teachers on the Orton-Gillingham approach to support our K2 readers. This approach is a highly structured, direct teaching of the connections between letters and sounds using multisensory strategies to support writing and reading instruction. This approach was initially created to support individuals with dyslexia, but the program is applicable to all learners. The Orton-Gillingham approach is our district approach to phonics instruction. To support the Orton-Gillingham system for our K2 teachers and the Sunday system for our special education students, we have added Mrs. Jasmine Monet to our team. Mrs. Monet serves as our Orton-Gillingham and Sunday teacher on special assignment. She supports teachers and leaders through training, modeling, feedback, and professional learning. She will be our certified district Orton-Gillingham trainer, which means we won't have to step outside of our district to have teachers trained, we will have our own in-house trainer. She will be able to support practicum experiences for our teachers who will go on and be certified to be OG trainers, or can be certified as OG trainers. As of today, we have trained all K2 teachers and instructional coaches. 11 3rd through 5th grade teachers have also been trained in the intermediate level of Orton-Gillingham. So if our students leave K2 and they still have some deficits or gaps, we also have teachers in 3-5 who can also support them with Orton-Gillingham. 14 special education teachers have been trained in OG, and they're also trained in the Sunday system, which is another version of Orton-Gillingham, and 27 paraprofessionals. These paraprofessionals are able to support our kindergarten teachers in implementing Orton-Gillingham in small groups. We understand the importance of ongoing training and have offered 2 refresher trainings for teachers in our district. With the addition of Mrs. Monet, we will be able to provide monthly refresher trainings next school year. As we look forward to the 2021-2022 school year, we know that additional training and support will be needed. We will be offering school calibration walkthroughs, data analysis, summer training, administrator training, and monthly coaches meetings to support the implementation of the program. We are thankful for our teachers because they have rolled up their sleeves and dived into this year 1 of implementation. Amidst the switch from face-to-face to virtual learning, they made adjustments, were creative, and exuded grace. Teachers, we thank you. Mrs. Miller-Payton will provide some additional updates.
Thank you, Melanie, for calling attention to our students' achievements and how we're implementing phonics instruction in our balanced literacy framework. I want to talk about how we've adjusted due to COVID to continue to improve student achievement during these unusual times. First thing, we've conducted more one-on-one meetings with teachers instead of group meetings. We know that in addition to curriculum and instruction needs, teachers have also had some unique social emotional needs, and so those one-on-one conversations have helped us to help them. Next, we have helped teachers and instructional coaches to revise the curriculum by reducing or rearranging assignments so that they can be more manageable with the time constraints that COVID has caused. You know, a lot of researchers and publications have talked about how prioritizing standards is one of the key things that schools should be doing during these times, and we're lucky to have RCD curriculum that already prioritizes standards. The next thing, we're offering more technology, resources, and strategies specific to literacy needs to help teachers navigate teaching online and hybrid. The next thing on the list is something I'm very excited about. As the schools and public library closed on and off, students lost access to free books. So to maintain access and opportunity, we applied for and won a $10,000 grant to purchase books for students. With that grant that we called FRESH, or Free Reading Enrichment for Students at Home, we distributed over 1,000 diverse, high-interest, best-selling books to students through mail and at their schools. Research says that reading books that are relevant to your interests can reduce stress, increase apathy, improve vocabulary, and we're excited that we have been able to do that. So many students have emailed me thank you notes, and they joined our Google Classroom discussion forum to just say that they were grateful for having that access. Next thing on the list is Actively Learn. Of course, there's been a call for digital texts during this time, and we have purchased a program called Actively Learn where students can engage with text online. This year we tried it with 1,300 middle school and high school students, and it's been wildly popular, so we're hoping to continue it and expand it next year. And in fact, this week we'll be showcasing our work with Actively Learn, our district's work with Actively Learn in a presentation with the National Dropout Prevention Center. And lastly, 2 years ago, we set out to deepen our relationship with the public library so the families can continue reading and so forth when school isn't in session. And our first big project together was called The Big Read. in which we encourage the entire city to read and discuss one book and participate in events related to the book. We had over 400 GSCS employees, students, and families participate, in addition to others throughout the community. We're especially proud of the online. If you can go to the first slide, Lonnie. If you click that link, tinyurl.com/bigreadshowcase, if you all can go there to see the work that our students have created in response to the books. They've written poetry and stories and essays. They've created art, music, plays. It's been just beautiful. So please go to see how talented our students are. And then one thing that's not on the slide, I just want to make one upcoming event announcement. For those of you in the audience who have children under the age of 6, please mark your calendars for May 11th. On that day, there will be a virtual presentation about early literacy with the First Readers organization. That's First, F-E-R-S-T. That's a nonprofit that mails books to babies, toddlers, and preschoolers each month. And our 0 to 5 program with Dr. Sauce and Dr. Bearden, they're partnering with First, and we'll be emailing parents about that opportunity soon. So thank you all, school board members, for your support in improving literacy.
All right, with that, we thank you. And first is Dr. Melton and his wife. Everyone should remember that. They do a great job. We thank them for that. Next up, secondary gifted presentation, Mrs. Ashley Crawford.
Yeah, how appropriate that ELA presented tonight on the day of the wonderful activities Mr. Brown had going with the reading at Atkinson, and so grateful to see that activity. So how appropriate. Okay, so I am here tonight to talk about our secondary gifted program. I'd like to begin by sharing the definition of giftedness provided by the National Association for Gifted Children. And I do just want to point out some very specific things in this slide. So what is giftedness? It's students with gifts and talents or have the capability to perform at higher levels compared to others of the same age, experience, and environment. Gifted identified students come from all racial, ethnic, and cultural populations, as well as any economic status. They require sufficient access to appropriate learning opportunities to realize their potential. They can have learning and processing disorders. And that's one of the misconceptions that sometimes people just aren't aware, that children can be twice exceptional. They can receive special ed services and gifted services at the same time. They need support and guidance to develop socially and emotionally, as well as in their areas of talent. And this is one of the areas that's really focused in the gifted endorsement, because that's a misconception. There's many misconceptions around giftedness. People often make an assumption that those children just have it all together. They don't need additional help. And some of them do. And they require varied services based on their changing needs. On the next slide, you may be familiar with this chart, which shows how students become gifted identified or gifted eligible in the state of Georgia. This is established by the Georgia Department of Education, and systems must adopt eligibility criteria consistent with this rule. You can see that students may qualify with either option A or option B. You are required to collect data in all 4 areas on that chart, but there are the 2 options. You can see under option A, a student would qualify with scores in mental abilities and achievement. And in option B, a student would qualify if they meet the criteria in 3 out of the 4 areas. On the next slide, this is the current data for the number of gifted identified students at the secondary level. You can see we have 454 students. You can also see the breakdown by race and gender. And I do believe when we get to the slide about goals, you'll see one more around training for teachers in the identification process, that's how we begin to close that gap, is to focus on the training. So in the last 2 years, 22 secondary students have been referred for gifted testing. Of those 22, 14 met the qualifications. It's a pretty good percentage. And also, you may be wondering why just 22? Most of the time, students are identified at the elementary level, but we still can do testing in middle school and high school. So we do have 11 additional secondary students who need to be tested. They've already been referred. So let's talk a little bit about the current gifted services that are provided to gifted identified secondary students.
Excuse me, Ms. Crawford, is there a testing window for?
We can really do it at different times, but we typically align to when the elementary has their windows.
Okay, I remember from the last presentation. Thank you.
Yes, and we're so appreciative that they often help us with the testing too.
Okay.
All right, so we use advanced placement courses at the high school as an option to provide gifted services. And then we also have gifted honors courses, which run from grades 6 through 12 as a means of providing gifted services. We are allowed to include students who are not identified as gifted, but who may be high achievers or have a really strong aptitude or excel in that area in those courses. And this might be the slide I'm most excited about because it's the forward-moving work that we need to continue. First, the training, and I mentioned that. We've got to do continual training, offering webinars on gifted characteristics, the gifted referral process, the DOE criteria for identifying giftedness to our schools and to the community. We need to continue to seek gifted endorsed teachers to teach gifted students. And then for next school year, I would like to run a better seeking team. And the purpose of this team is basically to pick up from the gifted audit and to begin to work through the recommendations, which this is one I think we've got to go ahead and begin to examine, is exploring various delivery models for secondary and curricular options so that we can continue to enhance the services being provided to our gifted students at the secondary level. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about secondary gifted.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford, and I'll remind the board again, you know, I was a participant in the secondary gifted program.
I can pull those records too and show it.
How long ago was that? Mr. Chair, if I could, I just want to thank Ms. Crawford for this information. I was looking at the email that myself, you, and Ms. Jones was going back and forth, and Superintendent was copying on it on the 25th. And so I think you definitely, what I would have come and talked with you about today, definitely was addressed. However, I just think that when you're talking about the training, the DOE criteria, and the gifted endorsed teachers, it's very important that we start to look at those delivery methods and the curricular options. I have talked with scholars that say in middle school that they are gifted, but they can't really tell the difference in how the teacher is teaching maybe the second period class or the third period class. So I think training is very, very important. And I just want us to see a system or a type of option that will just allow our teachers, they have the resources in RCD, but I guess providing more training and more development for them so that the rigor is there inside of the classroom. Because right now, not saying that it's not there, but I think that's something that we definitely need to look at. And as we continue to go to the better seeking team that will I'm sure will be made up of parents, scholars,
Absolutely.
and educators, so that we can come up with what those options would be best for the teachers and our scholars.
And I appreciated your email with the insight. I think there is a different feel when students leave Program Challenge and they enter middle school. It feels different. And I think there's a lot of things that we can explore. There are some things already in the recommendations to continue to explore. But absolutely, if we have students, parents, educators at the table, I think we could come up with some strong proposals and suggestions for how to enhance what's occurring in our classrooms.
And I'm definitely on board to, next month to meet with you and Mrs. Jones so that we can sit down and
I'd love to hear your ideas.
my thoughts and ideas. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Crawford, let me remind you, my records are sealed, and and I get an alert if anybody try to break
And I
into
probably shouldn't on a camera say, for money, you want those records?
You can't find the records.
All right. Griffin-Spalding County School System, February financial report by Mr. Jones.
Were you gifted, Mr. Holmes?
Pardon me?
Or were you gifted?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I'm still gifted.
Still good? Yeah, I was wondering if you caught that.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. It's funny when you alluded to Mr. Akins as Bubba. We were talking earlier. My sister used to call me Bubba. So anyway, that's a good nickname for Mr. Akins to have. I'll be brief again. I'm bringing up the rear, so I know everybody's ready to go. I do want to point you to a couple of things. One, this is probably the first time that I'm aware that you're seeing this kind of stuff on the screen. We've been talking about how to be more customer friendly when we present, so that's one thing you'll see. But this will probably be the last time that you see this amount of information. Mr. Simmons and I have been talking about a revised reporting format, maybe to consolidate down. With some of this is stale data that like some of the SPLOST reports you've seen for years. We can put all that on the website, and I have to go over it at every board meeting to show you, or we can still show it, but maybe trim down to 4 or 5 pertinent slides on things that we can go over. So just wanted to alert that. I talked to you about that early on when I first came here, but now we kind of talked a little bit more in depth. So on page 1, just go over a few highlights. General fund, both on the revenue and the expense side, is tracking well. Again, the revenues are up 1% versus last year, same month, February 2020, and the expenses are down 1%. So that's tracking in the correct directions both ways. Second bullet, the very last thing in your packet, I've told you this a couple of times, we get state revenue data from the press release button within the Georgia Department of Revenue, and they've stopped publishing this data. So if you go all the way back to your back page, you'll see you continue not to be able to see updated info. That'll probably be one of the slides we quit showing. It's not available. We've tried to look at that for the last 3 months, but they still don't have it available. The next bullet I was going to point you to, the legal expense bill. We can keep following that same format that we're giving you all. We had a little bit of a reconciliation process with the February, so that figure is not representative of 1 month of data. It's actually monthly math. Mr. Shepard and I talked about that, so I just wanted to point your attention to that. CARES money, you probably are all aware of one of the big CARES items that happened right before spring break with the supplemental payments. We got that done and off on April the 2nd, hit that benchmark that you all approved. So those items posted direct deposit or check into every employee's accounts. To my knowledge, I've had a few questions in my office, and Dr. Taylor and I have talked about those specifically, and we've responded back to those employees, or promised to, maybe by tomorrow. We're trying to give it to noon Wednesday. So to my knowledge, that has went pretty smoothly. I hope you've gotten good feedback about that, because yes,
you mentioned about the questions you've been presented with. Did they include, because I've gotten, and I did good. I didn't disturb anybody on this spring break. I didn't contact anyone. I waited till today. So I've gotten contacted by employees. I don't, during our discussion, we didn't really, I guess, identify what part-time means. And I had a question about, who was included in that part-time pool. have you got, was that one of your questions?
The only questions I personally received was maybe a stricter definition of long-term substitute, because that was defined in the actual data that came from the state. And Dr. Taylor and I have debated that a little bit in terms of, is that a Griffin-Spalding definition of it? And I'm making this 10 days consistent in a class, 120 days subbing for a vacant position, you know, no gaps in service past a certain time. So those are the things that we looked at. From a part-time, when the state gave the data about differentiating between 1,000 and 500, they really gave another definition to that. So 500 really goes to people who might serve our district, and then look, and I'm making this work for Griffin-Risa kind of as an additional job. So their data might have went into the state two ways, so they'd be eligible for 500 for us, 500 for Griffin-Risa. If it's I guess a part-time eligible person here would really be $490, and maybe that would bring in our 49 percenters, because they thought we actually got clarity on that from the state as well, if they're continuing to work for us on 49% basis.
Well, let me be more specific from whom I received the questions. These were like lay coaches in the sporting programs.
Basketball coaches.
And they put in quite a bit of time, but I just got contacted by a couple of those inquiring whether or not they were included or will they be included. So.
To answer that tonight, I'll be glad to talk to the superintendent tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there so that
we welcome the questions. I mean, we anticipated. I even talked to Rita and payroll. I acknowledged to her, said, we've gotten this done. We need to anticipate questions and be able to answer questions. The question may be a no, it may be a yes, but we can always go back and retro if that's the direction. We can always do that.
Well, I know Mr. Shepherd, he volunteered part of his salary, to cover some of these lay coaches.
Absolutely.
So, that's not a big issue.
I was raising my hand to see if I could get one of them too.
Well, if you all could discuss that, that is an issue floating around out there. I don't know if they brought it to anyone else's attention, but I was contacted by some lay coaches in the system.
Well, again, we can do more than the state tells us we can do with local money. We can't do less than they tell us we can do. So that's something we can give superintendent some data on that in the next couple of days, and we can circle back around if we need to.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. So the CARES money, again, we continue to draw that money down. We're on a good schedule with that. Capital projects only had a couple of checks for the month. You can see that. Technology purchase was a little over $200,000, and small expenditure for Moore Elementary. eSplice dipped down just a little bit to $935 grand for the month, but the 7-month average is still ticking over $1 million, so that's still awesome for us. And again, nutrition, we're actually looking at some things with nutrition, and we've got some data we're looking at to consider a program called Community Eligibility Provision. We're not ready to really talk about that yet, but that might change some of the mechanics of how we charge people for meals and take direct certification applications. Aside from that potential or not potential change, we have basically used up the reserve that nutrition had going into this fiscal year. So if they had 1.2 million going into FY21 through this month of February, they pretty much run through that. And I don't know that that's non-standard for most school districts. A lot of school districts don't have a reserve to begin with, and are floating year from year and being subsidized from the general fund. But that is something we're going to have to address. And one of the uses of CARES money, which we're still looking at, is can we sustain the nutrition program or make them whole, for lack of a better word, with some uses of CARES money. So we still got to figure that out. So that'll be an option. But again, I know you have asked me about this a bunch of times, so I'm gonna always keep telling you about it. It just might not be on that same report next month. So really, I mean, we can go through this. The page 3 is really the only thing I was going to tell you. We're still $10.8 million. This is your general fund financial statement. Revenues higher than expenses through the month of February. Again, some of that will come down because of the way we accrue salaries in the summer for the teachers. Everything else is pretty much not a lot of spending on SPLOST in that month. Nutrition report I've already gone over. Is any questions other than what you've already asked me?
Well, I want to ask you something. I think Mr. Dawes had left early. Myself and Mr. Simmons, we were at the G3 meeting about 2 weeks ago, and I was just curious how I guess is your relationship with the other finance, director or person at the city, county, at the other governmental entity. And the reason I'm asking is they're putting something on the table. I don't want to be, well, I guess it's already known about the T-Splosh. Have you had any discussions or talk?
You talking about in Spalding County?
Right.
No, sir. The only conversations I've had would be surrounding when I was preparing the CAFR, the audit report in the fall. I haven't really been engaged with them since for any certainly not this discussion. I haven't been brought into it.
Well, I was just thinking that, you guys are the ones that kind of crunch the numbers and everything. That might be something, plant a seed to, maybe, he, have some discussion with the city, county finance people. Because we want this to be a unified effort, because it is kind of running through Archway, and we're all kind of entangled in that together. And I think you should be in the loop on that and know how it will affect the school system.
Oh, yeah. I'll reach out to him.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me know that.
All right.
Anything else? Any other questions? Appreciate the reading thing today. Had 6 classes. I didn't know we was gonna have that many, but I enjoyed it.
Appreciate you as well, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, maybe this has something to do with what Mr. Jones. I know a while back you had mentioned that the 2.5% that the county, I think Tim was one that gave us the amount. Mr. Shepherd gave us the amount that the 2.5% that the county charges us to collect those taxes.
Right.
Where are we? I don't know if it was a directive or what the conversation. Where are we in trying to see in our legislative priorities for 2022, Mr. Simmons and Mr. Shepherd, that we could present that to our delegation so that that number can change?
Would you like for me to address the latest conversation?
Yeah.
We sent a letter back in December to the county asking for a sit-down talk and received just verbal word back that they would be willing to do that, would like to do that at the next Archway retreat that is going to be in the fall. That way we will all be in one place. We'll already have been public meeting notified and can be done in a little more casual setting to begin those discussions. So as long, obviously our delegation would love for us to be able to come to agreements between the two entities. If that doesn't happen, if we're not able to work through that, then we can talk about what we want to do going forward from there. But the fact that they're also, willing to sit down and have these conversations, I think is a good thing.
And with Mr. Dawes saying that, I think the timing kind of working itself out, because there will be a change in the county manager. Mr. Wilson be transitioning out, so whomever the new county manager would be involved. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of timely working itself out.
Okay.
But you know my feelings on that. Like Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive.
And we're definitely doing that.
Keep hope alive.
Mr. Chairman, if I could
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
chime in, and I'm probably going to get accused of lobbing a grenade, but I'm not sure if the board is aware of the comments that the county board chair made in the last county commission meeting relative to that. She strongly objected to.
She or he?
She. Well, I thought she was still chair.
No, Mr.
Okay.
Davis.
Well, it was Ms. Flowers.
Okay.
District one.
Objected to the sheriff's department paying any amount toward our resource officers, even though the resource officers, 30% of their year is spent working with the sheriff's department. And she specifically mentioned the letter that Mr. Doss sent inviting the county to speak to us. So,
Well, you know, with that, Mr. Shepherd, we've been around a long time, and she's on the one voice, one vote.
and I hope that's true.
Yeah, so we're hoping that, you know. We have our respected county commissioner in our district, and I strongly encourage us to, you know, be communicating with them, because this is important. I know myself and Mr. Shepherd have been lobbying this for some years. His feeling probably as mutual as mine on the subject. But this is very important, because I see it as money that could be used in our educational system for whatever we choose to use it for, and we're not being able to utilize it because they're charging us for something that they already got to do anyway.
And it's $625,000 a year.
Yes, yes. I mean, as it relates to the delegation, it seems like they don't ask anybody anything else when they want to change stuff, so why start asking people now?
Well, I'll let you and Mr. Geary deal with that. Okay, with that, the rest of the items are information items. We do have one item for, I'm sorry, let me start to my left, and we'll work our way around for any board member that has any comments. Start, Mr. Dawson.
Not that many, just Mr. Simmons, I'm hearing some great words of encouragement and different things from different people I'm coming in contact with throughout the community that have met you or heard you, and some of that excitement that is happening. I've heard even things from the 2 times I've been in a school, you know, since you've been there, things that are happening. So I'm excited about that, and I know that there is a cohesiveness that has to develop in all of that process that is going on, and I'm excited that that's taking place.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to publicly thank everyone in this room for what you do for us on a daily basis. And secondly, I wanted to publicly thank all of the schools that participated in the School Board Appreciation Week right before spring break and showered us with gifts and gift cards. And I really don't know where a lot of the gifts I received came from. I really don't know who to really personally thank. You know, I was taught to send thank you notes, but I wanted to use this forum to publicly thank all of you who gave gifts and presents to the board members. I certainly appreciate it. I know my colleagues do too. And Mr. Simmons, I will ditto what Mr. Doss just said. In my letter, in my monthly update to Sun City residents, the theme of my email to my neighbors last month was "It's all good." So I will write my new email to my neighbors tonight or tomorrow, and I'll say it's still all good. So thank you, Mr. Simmons, for making such a great and positive impression, and I know all of us certainly appreciate it. I know I certainly do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Cook?
I'm going to echo what Ms. McDonald said about Board Appreciation Week. Thank all of you who participated in that. It's just so thrilling to see the response out there. We do what we do because we're passionate about the school system, about education, about all of you. But to see you reciprocate in such a powerful way is just truly wonderful. So thank you so much for making us all feel appreciated. As you know, in the classroom, there's just nothing like appreciation. It doesn't cost anything, but it goes a long way. So thank you so much. Again, I don't want to miss an opportunity to thank everyone in this system, the teachers, the staff, the administrators, the students, the superintendent, everyone who has made this year, during the pandemic, a very successful year. In spite of the pandemic, we have come through and done great things for our community, and that is so exciting, and we're all looking forward to celebrating at graduation for our seniors who have achieved such great things this year. So again, kudos to all of you for helping us get through this year and for making dreams come true for our students.
I just want to say thank you to everybody in the room for the support that you provide to the board to get things done. Also, echo the same sentiments of my colleagues to those schools and individuals who have showered us with appreciation during School Board Appreciation Week. Thank you so much. Wearing a lot of my gear now and hats and all that, so I greatly appreciate the schools and the umbrella. Umbrella, that was lit right there.
Yeah, that was.
Who came up with the umbrella idea? That was lit.
Miss
That
Wright.
was lit. That was good. That was tight. And also, just want to send the community and worldwide a thank you. And we have some great things going on in District 1. At Moore Elementary School, we have a program called It's the College for Me. And we have received, just today, Ms. McDonald came and picked up another 30 shirts that have come in. One lady is a retired high school teacher, and she retired. She had college banners in her classroom. She has decided to donate them to Griffin-Spalding County School System. She sent, it's like 30 different colleges, so maybe at Moore or some school that would like to have a college corner at the school, we can use those posters to serve as a college corner. Just thank you so much to everybody. Every college and university, from Johnson & Wales, my alma mater, to FAMU, Morehouse, Harvard, Yale, University of West Georgia, North Carolina A&T, Eastern Tennessee, Mercer, everyone has been represented. And so I just want to say thank you to the Griffin-Spalding community for your support in this, and to our friends that are in other states that have supported this initiative. And also, lastly, for the Real Men Who Read, myself, Mr. Doss, Leader Holmes, we had this idea. I talked with them. I said, hey, let's do this. All right, we did it. And I think it went over pretty well today. And so there were only 7 schools that we decided to do it with, just so that we can manage it. Hopefully next time we'll do the other 6. And I would like to see this as a school-wide initiative that we could do through our English and Language Arts departments, through instructional services, so that we have an annual event of Real Men Read. I just think that the event, it went pretty well. The pictures on social media, everybody saying thank you to the people that came in and gave their time. Dr. Sauce, thank you so much. Dr. Warren, Mr. Pugh, Mr. Aiken, Mr. Jones, and Superintendent Simmons, thank y'all so much for pitching in and being Johnny on the spot and going to our scholars today. I greatly appreciate it, and no further comments, Mr. Chair.
All right. Mr. Pugh, you know, sometimes things kind of slip through the gaps on me. Did we get that thank you letter out to everyone for the gifts we received during school board week that they referred to? Did we get that letter out? We did? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that it went out, because we were so appreciative of everything that, and we really didn't know who all gave us what, but we were appreciative of that. With that being said, we have one item for executive session to meet with legal counsel pertaining to pending litigation, and yes. Oh, yes. I think you saw the information. We also need to talk about purchase of property that I think Mr. Aiken submitted to us. And with that being said, we will take maybe a 3-minute break. 3-minute break at the rack of the gavel, and then we'll come back into executive session. I say to everyone, thank you. And as I mentioned earlier, I didn't call anybody during spring break. I didn't text anybody because I wanted you all to enjoy. I think you all deserve that break, just like the students did. I know this has been a tough year, and I hope you enjoyed your spring break and you are kind of rejuvenated to finish the year out. And believe me, you're in my prayers every day because I know what struggles you all go through and what you have to deal with because it's everywhere. We're not just in a silo, but it's everywhere. But I do want you all to know that not only I, but the entire board appreciate what you do and what you go through in dealing with educating our kids. So thank you. And with that,
Mr. Chairman, we need to vote to go into.
Pardon me?
Need to vote to go
Yeah,
into.
yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Can we get a motion to go into executive? Motion? Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? All right. 3 minutes.